Okay, so almost forgot my tools. That would have not worked out very well. And here we go. Okay, can you squeeze in a little bit? Fabu. Okay, so we're gonna do a little 3rd-degree burn on the arm. So we're using silicone. Skin Tite has an A and a B. Equal parts of A and B, make it work. We also have another product that usually comes with this in kits. I don't use it very often, but I will be using it later today, is Thivex. Thivex is supposed to solidify it, actually kind of deters the drying of it, so we can do some stuff that's fun like oozing wounds. So what we're going to try to do today is I'm actually going to kind of work a little bit backwards. Instead of working blood first, since it's a burn, I'm going to work flesh first. The reason I like working flesh first with this is because it helps me lift up the flesh afterwards. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make this is a pretty big batch. I'm going to make this semi-transparent, so we're not going to make it fully opaque. So, if we look at it, okay, ooh, fun, right? Okay, that's my favorite. What I love about being able to do wounds and stuff is that it is, oh, by the way, this is Silk Pig, and they have different types. This Silk Pig works for Skin Tite. Not all Silk Pigs work the same. Some of them don't work for certain silicones. So I've got 3 minutes on this pot life before I can't use it anymore. Nice and goopy. So, a little cold, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just try to get some sort of crazy shape going. A little bit too much Silk Pig right there. Get some of that Silk Pig up. You might have a little fleshy spot for a while.
Okay.
That Silk Pig. Sorry about that. We try not to put Silk Pig direct to the skin. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to make this so that it's really all over the place. I'm trying to create some edges and some things that I can use to pull up later, so that we can have nice kind of like flesh grabbing up and pulling up and doing its thing. So what we're going to do is, hey Siri, hey, set a timer for 3 minutes.
Done. I see you shiver with anticipation.
Yeah, thanks buddy. Okay, so what we're going to do is that's enough for the initial here. The rest of what's in there we're going to save because we are going to use that as alternate flesh that is going to be added to this afterwards. We've got 3 minutes leaving this kind of getting itself ready to dry, and I'm going to be playing with it a little bit. Try to keep it up in the same space. Now once I hit that 3 minutes, according to Siri / Jarvis, because, well, I just wanted it to sound like Iron Man's Jarvis. Spoilers, Vision. Once it hits 3 minutes, it's going to be tacky enough for me to actually pull up and allow it to dry that way. And that will be good for us as we move on to making the blood. Okay, so we're back and we're a little bit tighter focused right now on the arm, working on going to pull this up now that we've got some tack going forward. So there's 2 ways to pull this up. One is just grabbing it with the tool that you were using initially. Still isn't quite tacky enough, but kind of funny feeling, right? Okay. But I'm trying to get it so that there are multiple wound areas. So the flesh looks like it's been torn and kind of like grossed out. You guys can see that pulling, right?
Ew.
Okay, because that's kind of the effect that we want. And you see how it's like slightly, just slightly transparent? It's kind of what we want. We want to see that slight transparency come up, because your flesh is really mostly transparent. just layers and layers and layers of it really have enough pigmentation to cut. Ah, there we go, look at that. Now we're doing it. Whee! Okay, fun stuff. Okay. So we're gonna let that settle a little bit more before I go in with the blood. So while I'm doing that, I can mix up my blood. So I got two phases here. I got blood and I got black. The black spots we're gonna start with first. We're not gonna make a lot of black because black is a very powerful color and it kind of tends to overpower what we're working on. So again, we're using the Silk Pig. We're gonna grab a little bit of black. Ooh, brand new one. That's too much, so that container is useless to me. Hey, somebody wanna do me a favor? You run over to the gray closet and grab me a, it's gonna sound weird, I would really like a plastic fork. One of my favorite tools to use when I'm doing this. So we need some char.
Where are the other buckets of
There's only one bucket of fun.
Okay, then who tried to do it first?
And they must be in there. Okay. Yay, a plastic fork. Okay, so this tool is great because this tool lets me rake and cause major damage and elongate things, as you can see. So that's lots of fun. Now, we're gonna play with that later. Can you twist your arm a little bit for me, please?
Yep.
All right, here we go. So we're gonna throw down some semi-opaque black. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to get that in the edges and underneath where I've pulled up the flesh. The reason being is that's where the char would most likely happen. And it's gonna cause some nice depth in the wound. Now, I don't have a lot here, so I have to be sparing with it. I wanna make sure I hit all the edges of the wound. I'll make some more later for a secondary layer. I'm gonna pull up some of this a little bit more so I have some more depth to play with. I have to squirt that fork. Let go. Okay. A little tickle. Yum, right?
Ew.
Okay, good. The best part about this is that it's very organic, so it doesn't have to be perfect. You can really play with it. So what I'm going to do with the remainder of this black is I'm actually going to cause some, I want to do a little bit of detail around the edges. And for that I'm going to use a chip brush. The reason I use chip brushes is because chip brushes are really, really cheap brushes. And this is no longer going to be usable after I've worked with it. It will not be able to do paint, it won't be able to do anything. But we can still use it for this. Hey Siri, set a timer for 5 minutes.
Okay, 5 minutes and counting.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and as you can tell, we're working on another wound today. While we're waiting for our 3rd-degree burn to dry, we are going to grab and do a boil. So once again, A and B of the silicone. I'm gonna make this really, really as transparent as I can and still have it tinted, because what I wanna do is I wanna create a large space where I can pull it up and inflate it. There are a couple ways to do boils. One of them is by doing it the way they're about to do, and the other is by going ahead and creating an appliance and doing it that way. So I'm actually just gonna pour this right on here. Hello. And what I wanna do is I wanna spread this out relatively evenly on the hand. Ooh, isn't that yummy? Okay. And we are going to then create, in a little while, in 3 minutes actually, we're going to create some pus. And we are going to inject that pus underneath the boil. So, and we use a little baby medicine dispenser for that, which is really kind of fun. And let's see. Oh, goody. So when the alarm goes off, we can go right ahead and do that. We've already got the alarm set. We don't want this to get too far out there. Get back, you silly thing. Okay. And then we're going to cinch it up with some silicone itself. But we want that to be, actually, we'll give it 4 minutes so that it really sets quite a bit, because it'll expand really, really well. But we want it to still be a little bit tacky so that it adheres. Okay, so we're back now. So I'm going to start making the oozing pussy nastiness that's going underneath the skin. Yeah, sounds yummy, right? So again, we're going to grab some Silk Pig after we get a nice amount of silicone going here. But we're going to make that Silk Pig something like really, really gross. So we're going to throw a little bit of white and a little bit of yellow in it. Yeah. Yum is right. Yum is delightful. Yum is delightful. Okay. So we're going to throw a little bit of white, a little bit of yellow. Again, sometimes you can buy the color sampler of Silk Pig. It's probably a little bit more affordable than trying to buy all the colors that they offer in full throttle, because that's just a little bit much. So, we want this to kind of look a little pussy. So in order to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to make this very, very, very light. We're not going to do a lot of pigment at all. But the thing about something that's pussy is that it isn't like this, like bright yellow. Like, look at that. It's kind of like lemon meringue right now.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. You never eat lemon meringue again, will you? Okay, so here we go. There's some fun going on. Yeah, it still looks like lemon meringue, you said? Okay, you're weird. Okay, we're going to pull up the edge of this just a tad.
Oh no. This is good.
Might have to use the edge of the fork to do this. There we go. Okay.
Oh god.
Now that we've got that done, here we go.
Oh! Oh my god. Ew.
And we have a delightful oozing wound.
Ew. That's a good choice.
Oh, it's oozing.
Yep, it's oozing.
That's so gross.
So it's oozing. Yep, so we have this oozing pustule. I'm going to try to get rid of some of this extra pus that's on it, because we don't need that.
Ew.
And you can use regular makeup to kind of like figure that out. All right, so we're back in Burnland. Fun, 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 fun. So we don't need the white for our oozing wound that we had earlier. We do, however, need our blood red. All right, so here we go. Making some blood. The best thing about Silk Pig when it comes to blood, and silicone in general when it comes to blood, is that it is always remains wet looking. I'm making a lot of blood. The reason I'm making a lot of blood is so that I can go ahead and have plenty of room to add good color. With more blood, I can add more coloration than I normally would. It'll be nice and thick. On top of that, I'm going to do some nice layers going on here. So here we go. We got a 3-minute pot light. Just flip your arm as much this way as you can. There we go. Let's get these silks out of the way. All right, and here we go. We're just going to start by pouring some right into the middle. But you'll see it's still semi-transparent, so that we still see some of the black through it.
It looks like strawberry jam.
Okay, I don't know if I'd ever eat strawberry jam now again. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to work the wound in with this. You get the black underneath, so it adds lots of nice little depth. Then I'm going to take some of that flesh that we made earlier, which is now nice and solidified after all that time.
Oh God.
And we're going to have sections of flesh that will now stick to the blood itself.
Sorry.
It's okay. Okay. That we can then char up afterwards, so that we've got some nice, real kind of gruesome stuff going on here.
Ew, it's moving.
Yeah, it does that. This one's nice. I like this one. This one's nice and kind of goopy there. So what we're then going to do is then I'm going to add a little bit of black into the blood itself. So we're going to make some nice blackened blood. Very little, because black is one of those colors that takes over things. When I get that blackened blood, it kind of looks really sort of purplish. But it works great to give us a little bit of fun layering on the new flesh that we've just put in. I recommend whenever you're doing layers to give that 5 minutes in between layers, unless you're doing like what we're trying to do here, which is have a nice gruesome effect using the same pot, just changing the color a little bit. Now we're gonna have to wait 5 before we go ahead and we make our last pot, which is gonna be a black pot, to blacken everything up, and we will be done our 3rd degree burn. So now for our final installment, our model of course just said, I'm dripping. Of course, the fun part about that is since it's silicone, that drip's not gonna move. It's just gonna stay there. It's just gonna look like dripping blood from now on.
Beautiful.
It doesn't move, so it's actually kind of cool. Okay, so now we're gonna do just a smidge more black to burn things up a little bit, and we're gonna make it a very, very kind of like semi-opaque black this time. How does one make very, very semi? I don't know, I kind of like goofed that up a little bit. But we're not gonna make a lot, we're just gonna make a dime size in here, little dime size dollops. And turn, please. And so what we want to do is we want to really kind of like, you know, in cooking, black and brown is gives you flavor. In this case, you want to work the edges of the flesh with the black. The reason why is because that's the part that's going to have gotten in a 3rd degree burn crispy. Remember, the degrees of burns are really easy to remember. 1st degree is like a sunburn. 2nd degree starts giving you blisters. And then 3rd degree...
It chars the skin, right?
It chars the skin, yes. So the thing about 3rd degree burns is that 3rd degree burns can actually fuse like your... If it's burnt enough. You can do stuff with 3rd degree burns, like if you have extra fabric from the actor's costume, you can have the fabric fused into the skin, which makes a really nice effect. So what I did was, and you can't see it here because I was doing it while camera was off, I went ahead and I took some of the leftover black that was in the last pot because it was really thin, and I took it and I put just sections of black over here in the blood while it was still drying so that it's now nice and stuck. And we're going to make sure that we've got any little flesh pieces that might have gotten away from us and dripped. We're going to bring those back up. Let's see if we can get again with our chip brush, any and all little pieces that we've got left. We're going to blacken out the rest, a little bit of the skin around. We don't want the flesh to look too nicey, so we want to make sure that we've got big sections like that with some texture. And our 3rd degree burn is done. So if you can just turn this way, I know that.
Oh, that's nasty.
Okay. And so that would be a 3rd degree burn. Welcome to Horror Makeup 101. Thanks, guys.